kind of on the subject of it being Lee's birthday, it's usually a time for me when it's my birthday that I reflect on maybe the last 12 months.
Really tried to push myself to assess my interactions with people. Did I leave that person feeling good? Did I present myself well? Did I get what I wanted from the situation? What I could have done better?
3 things that were really great that happened today, and what was the one thing I need to improve?
I've made it. It's the end of the film. The credits can roll.
You're always in action as well, so it's the action and then recognition, which builds a psychological resilience. To press on.
A microwave bacon. Come on.
Inspiration Nation, hello, Lee Kemp here for another week on the podcast, as always with Mr. Jose Noya and Mr. Ryan Griffey-Boniface. How are we, guys?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you, Lee.
Yes, very good, Lee. How are you?
Okay, you always do a dramatic pause, Joe. I'm not sure if you're going to say anything or not, or you're just keeping the tension alive.
We are like on the news when they have like an international correspondent and there's like a lag between the stop of one part of the conversation and the start of another. That's what it sounds like.
The reason you never know who's going to speak, so I don't want to overwrite anybody.
And back to you in the studio. Thank you, everyone, for listening, downloading, watching us on YouTube, wherever you're getting your Inspiration Nation. We appreciate you. And, of course, live on Instagram each and every Tuesday, 8:30 GMT, somewhere about 3:30 in the afternoon if you're out in the States. Just check out Jose Noya, Inspiration Nation on Instagram or any other social media platform to get Joe. And, of course, follow us at Listen to IN, Listen TOIN. Right, so on our wheel of topics, Joe's done a topic. I've done a topic. Has Ryan done one already? I can't remember where we are. The point of the story is it's Ryan's topic this week. And I'm reassured, very reassured, that half an hour before we met online, Ryan sent a meeting that said, S word, it's my topic this week. So this is going to be a blinder. What have you got for us, Ryan?
See, I could have done a Lee and gone, oh, it's not my week. We didn't agree it. Somebody else do it. But no, I stuck it out.
Uncanny.
I do my best.
Can you do an Inspiration Nation hello in that voice?
No, it has to be at the time. It has to. I can't just do it. So, kind of tying in with current events and it being Lee's birthday tomorrow as we record this. So happy birthday, Lee.
Ah, casual clang. Thank you. I like it. 29. I am 29.
92. I thought I would talk about self-reflection or bring up a topic on self-reflection. I don't feel like we've done many conversations about self-reflection specifically, although I'm happy to be wrong in that. I know we've had a lot of conversations about self-awareness and kind of supporting ourselves and things like that, but I don't feel like there's been too much of a direct conversation on self-reflection. I actually had a meeting today in which I was asked how I'd self-reflected on the last couple of years of my life and stuff. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think I ever really have sat there in a literal sense and gone, cool, what a change from 2.5 years ago. Like, what a mad change in my life. But I'm not sure if that's common or if that's what everybody does. I'm sure it probably isn't. Or if there are kind of techniques that we can do to kind of to do that. And I think an obvious one that jumps out to me is probably journaling, probably writing a diary type entry, talking about where you are and where you want to be, and then when you get to where you want to be, reflecting back to where you were and setting new goals and things like that. But I think kind of on the subject of it being Lee's birthday, it's usually a time for me when it's my birthday that I reflect on maybe the last 12 months or kind of what I've done in the last year or what's kind of happened, and kind of close some chapters or, you know, get ready to start some new ones and things like that. So that's kind of where my head's at with it. That's kind of where my my topic is at. Not bad for half hour's work, is it?
I like it.
Good self-reflection. Are you going to jump in, Lee?
Well, I've a feeling that my name was mentioned a lot there, so it sounds like this is probably somewhere for me to jump in with my pearls of wisdom. whilst I absolutely don't multitask and try and make a little logo graphic for the show that says real self-reflection on the start of it as well. But it's right. I'm back.
I shouldn't have said the topic for like another 10 minutes to just ramble. Properly wasted your time.
No, that's me. I like to ramble before getting to the point, Ryan. You be more concise. We've got to mix it up.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I suppose there's different. I the same as you. I probably don't do it anywhere near enough. We all, it's some. I say we all talk about. I talk about the whole concept of not always looking up the mountain, making sure you look back down the mountain as well at where you've come from and everything like that, which is great advice to give people, and it is genuinely good advice. And encourage people to do it, but I probably don't do it enough myself. I'm always looking ahead. I think we spoke something similar before. Well, it's not necessarily a bad trait because that's an ambitious trait, but you can sometimes forget how far you've come, or maybe it hasn't been good, and you need to look at where you want to get back to, or things are up and down and seeing where you've been. So it's probably something that I could do more, I suppose. And Joe, you got me to do it once. It's somewhere hidden away back in the archives, but you did get me to do a bit of meditation, which I don't do stuff like that enough. I don't just stop and think, and I think that would probably be a good way probably to be more self-reflective on things, in that kind of personal success kind of mentality. Because I think if I was to present myself now to myself 15 years ago, I'd probably have exceeded what my expectations were at the time. And we talked about this. As you go on and you do things, your goals are incremental and they keep changing, they keep growing. So from that perspective, I think I've got a lot to reflect on and be pleased with from that way. There's a lot of stuff I still want to do, so that's there as well. And I suppose there's a small everyday thing. So my journal that you guys keep nagging on me about doing, which I started to do I've not done any more since the last time we spoke. But that again is trying to do it on more of a micro level. So that was kind of the macro level conversation, which you can look at that way, but lots of really trying to push myself to assess my interactions with people. Did I leave that person feeling good? Did I present myself well? Did I get what I wanted from the situation? What I could have done better? And I guess I've started to really force myself on that small level, but probably still not doing enough on the big level, if that makes sense. That's how you ramble, Ryan. That's how you ramble.
Do you think that because I do this, and I don't know if it's a trait that we share, or if it's something that I just do, but do you find that you don't look back down the mountain, as you put it, because once you've climbed that part of the mountain that you once thought was Ben Nevis or whatever, you've suddenly realized that it actually isn't that big of a deal at all for a lot of things, and you kind of think, it's done, it's not really that worth it.
Kind of a once it's done, it's done. You've achieved it, it's done. It's not has got the same gravity to it when you look back as when you're looking up.
It's not going anywhere.
I can see that.
It's not going anywhere. So it's like, if you've done something monumentally huge, fine. Yeah, that probably is something to look back on. But I think like small steps that you take, whilst they may be worth a self-reflection piece, I think to me, I don't feel like I do it because I don't feel like there's a point, because it's done and it wasn't that big of a deal. I may have thought when I first looked at it that this was huge and it's going to change my life in some instances, but now I've done it, or I'm in the process of doing those things, it's just kind of that's okay. It just is what it is.
Yeah. And I guess the other aspect of it as well, it's not like you're looking at this big thing you want to do, and then suddenly one day you do it, and then everyone's hoisting you up on their shoulders and cheering and clapping, and you're like, yes, I've made it. It's the end of the film. The credits can roll. Normally, they're incremental things that take a lot of work and a lot of effort, and take two biggest life things: getting married and having kids. They're events that happen on a day, but there's a hell of a lot of planning that goes into it beforehand. And then the aftermath is almost like, and rest, rather than, let's reflect back on what that looks like. There's almost a little bit of, oh, thank God that's over. Obviously, with having kids, it's then a constant whirlwind, and about 5 years go by before you've blinked. But it's, a big change in things that challenge you, things that stretch you, things that develop you, don't normally happen in a crystallized moment like that. So that's what I suppose that's where the longer term reflection comes in, so you can see those things, because it's quite hard to see them when you're in it as well.
Yeah.
But it's still good to do that, because those things do happen if you can step back and have that look at it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Jose?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think there was a couple of things that stood out for me. I mean, one is the incremental things. I think you just don't notice it.
Yeah.
Like when I was doing my daily journaling, if I look back at my journal, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, even then there's been massive steps 3 years ago. Like, but you just don't notice it because it's in the daily. And I think reflection is really important, self-reflection. And I reflect daily. So what I'll do in my journal, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I'll actually reflect on the day and think about, okay, so what were the 3 things that were really great that happened today? And what was the one thing I need to improve based on my day? And that's what I do every single day in my journal. Before I go to bed, I'll just reflect on the day. 3 things, what went well, and 1 thing that you can improve. And gradually over time, you'll find that you'll start to, maybe I need to be more assertive in this situation. Maybe I needed to be kinder. Maybe I needed to like hold my temper. Just these little small micro improvements. And I think over time, that's a big reflection piece. And what Ryan said about monumentally huge, it's like, if you look over 10 years, you probably have monumentally, you said, Lee, you've exceeded what you would have thought you could achieve in 10 or 15 years. And we talked about this, we did talk about it. Actually, if I look in 10 years' time, if we look now, in 10 years' time, where do you think we're going to be? If we could propel ourselves 10 years from now, and we're doing this every single day, for that time, we'll probably think it's crazy where we come from. In fact, if we just think about the early days of the nation to where we are now, and think about what we're actually doing content-wise, it's massive.
Yes, absolutely, it is.
Things that you're doing every single week, that Ryan's like putting the things together. We didn't have any of this process at all, and now we've got this process going on that makes this happen every single week. At first, there's a whole things that happen. There were real micro shifts, weren't they? They weren't like, it wasn't bang, it happened. So I think self-reflection is important because it can say, well, how far you come. And when you're feeling a little bit, cool, nothing's happened, you can look back and say, that can give you momentum to carry on. So that's
and that is the trap to fall into. And I do it, and it's looking at the mountain thing. So you're always looking at what you want to do, and that is always moving. Because, and that, that's good. Like we said, you don't want to just rest on your laurels. You want to be moving ahead, but you're always looking ahead and not taking that kind of breath just to look at stuff. I think that, and again, we've well established that journaling isn't necessarily for me, but that technique is, I can't argue with the logic of the technique of having that discipline to look at a few good things. And a few, what did you say? 1 thing that you could have done better? Was that your approach?
So it's just 1 improvement after reflecting on the day, and 3 things went well, because we can usually have a bad day, right? You can have a bad day, really bad day, but if you can reflect back and go, actually, it was a bad day, but what were the 3 things that went good about it? Maybe that you had a lovely meal, or maybe you had a nice conversation with someone, but your work went terribly well, but you can pick out at least 3 things that went well. I think it keeps that mind positive. And also 1 improvement, maybe I could have handled that conversation better. It's not overwhelming either. It's not like putting all these things on your plate. It's just 1 thing that you can improve, and 3 things you can really think, actually, I did okay now. And I think it's that whole confidence piece. And one other thing I'll just say to you is that when we're progressing as well, when you think you get to the top, there's always more things to do, right? There's always more things you want to conquer because you're always in the state of growth. But it's always good to have a sit and just reflect just for a moment. And that just takes 2 or 3 minutes a day to do that type of thing, which would really help you. And Ryan, I think this is a great subject. Self-reflection is a massive thing that I think a lot of people don't do. I just don't think they do it because they think, oh, I'll just go to bed now. And they just roll through their days and weeks and years and don't really think about, actually, how could that be tweaked that to just make things just a little better. And if you could improve 1% a day for the next year, that's a 352 day. 56 day, I couldn't think of the days. Improvement, if you think about 1% a day, right? 1% or even a 0.5% a day is a massive compounding effect over time.
You gave a really bad example for a Tuesday, Joe, of, if it's been a bad day, may have had a good meal or good conversation, because Tuesdays are busy because we record this. So normally it's a quick dinner and we record this and I talk to you. So there is no chance of a good conversation during the day either as well.
Well, Lee, we all do try our best, don't we? We try our best.
Well, you can try, Joe. One day you'll get there. I just want to give a quick shout out as we have a break in proceedings. Head over, if you're a fan of what you listen to, head over to inspirationnation.org.uk, your one-stop shop for everything Inspiration Nation. Podcast is there, links to the YouTube channel, full details of the Inspiration Nation coaching service, free 20-minute consultation with the man, Jose Noya himself. And of course, there is the Inspiration Nation store where you can get all your Inspiration Nation, I was going to say nation and national merch at the same time there. Don't know what I'm saying now. It's all over the place. Mugs, t-shirts, hats, face masks. I'm not sure where my face mask is to put it in now, but we have got mugs. Mug shot for the camera.
I don't have mine.
Every week, Ryan. Every week.
Most weeks, not every week. Most weeks. Be fair. Be fair.
Hoodie being modelled by the excellent Lee Kemp here. T-shirt from Jose, and there is a Inspiration National zip-up hoodie on the wall behind me as well. All of it over there at inspirationnation.org.uk. I was going to say, quick shout out to people on Instagram. Go on, Joe.
Well, I thought you were going to do that. All right, I've got Nina. Hey, IG Live with Angela. So shout out to you. Brilliant. Thanks for coming on. IG Live with Angela is running something for everyone called Believe Rage, which I'm part of that, and it's really good. So every day you'll get an email to go give some love to someone on Instagram. I think that's a brilliant idea, by the way. And the lovely Nina has come on, said, hi, IN crew. I think you put hi in, was it Hypnosis crew or something on there, Nina? But I thought it was brilliant. I love the time.
Yeah, I get autocorrect is not my friend either. And thanks for the shout out for the merchandise there, Angela, as well. So, Ryan, were you thinking big reflection or small reflection on your subject, or a bit of both?
I don't know. We all like. He's found the face mask. We all like to talk about the big things, I guess. But do we feel that? I feel like I know the answer to this already. But do we feel sweating the small stuff is as important as the big stuff? And if so, to what degree? So if you spend, I don't know if you can put it into quantitative terms, but if you spent, I don't know, an hour self-reflecting on one of the biggest things of your year, how much time would you give reflecting on the fifth biggest thing of your month?
I think the daily stuff is, and again, you reference a book I talked about age ago with Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, which is about not getting too worried about the little things that happen. But I think, and again, it's not what I do, but I commend it, because Joe's thing with the little interaction each day, there's a bit of look after the pennies and the pounds take care of themselves in that mentality thing, that if you're lots of little good, that was good in the moment things, and maybe, I could have improved on that, gets you your little iterations of things, but then it's that, and I don't know, how you schedule it, but that trigger that, every so often you look back over a time. I mean, like the end of the year is always a time to do it, but again, it's quite often, right, what am I going to improve for the next year? But maybe actually we want to be like, okay, well, what did we do over the last year? And you build in that. So, and I think both of them are equally as important.
Yeah. And I think we used to do a journey update, didn't we?
We did used to do a journey update. We've not done one of them for quite a while now.
Someone, maybe we have to schedule one in. Maybe that's part of the reflection process,
I think I've decided what my next topic's going to be, guys.
Journey update.
Cheat.
But yeah, I think sometimes as well, it's like, I'm on this project at the moment. They've asked us to reflect on the whole project. It's been going for over 3 months. We're having to reflect a bit of a writer reflection piece, so a little bit like you were doing, Ryan, with your piece. We're having to do that now with the people that we're looking after, leaders I'm looking after. We're going to write up about their reflections, our reflections, and it is really it's also reflecting as a piece of building neural pathways to cement the learning that you've had over that period. So that's why I love the daily, because sometimes I can get a bit overwhelmed with big things like, oh, where would I start with that? That might take me ages, and you get put off because it's so big, right? It could take you an hour. Well, I don't want to spend an hour. I just want to have these little bits of time, and that's why I think that the incremental shifts is it's like a 2 or 3 minute job, but over a year, that's like 2-3 minutes over a year for 356 days, right? It builds up and it's compounding. And I think there's nothing wrong with reflecting on big things like we're doing for projects and things like maybe journey update. I just think sometimes people just aren't willing to commit the time, and I think the small and often, like Lee said, the pennies and the pounds, I think there's a real big shout on that. But I absolutely agree. If you can take time to really reflect on I think the end of the year didn't we do a podcast on, the New Year's resolutions, for instance. You look back on the year, what you're going to do. We had a big podcast on rules, what we're going to do and stuff like that. So that's all reflection about what you're going to do, what you've been doing. This whole podcast is a reflection. If you look back at where we got, we're reflecting on things. The blog that I do is a reflection of the week. So there's probably some things that you do that you may not be aware of. So for me, I'm reflecting quite a bit when I think about the things that I do. And I think it just helps me recognise what do I need to do better and what's going well at the moment. And I think that's a really powerful thing to be doing, so you can continue to keep the habits that really work for you and discard the ones that don't. Or you may not discard them straight away, but you can start to attack them little by little, incrementally. And that's why I think, again, self-reflection. What a great topic, Ryan. I'll throw the ball over to you guys.
I find it hard to motivate myself to kind of reflect on the smaller stuff, because it happens so often. The big things that happen, like projects or courses and stuff, they last 6, 9, 12, 18, in some cases 30 months. So yeah, fair enough. Probably should reflect on, where you were at the start of that and where you are at the end of it. But some of the smaller type stuff that maybe lasts 2-3 weeks, couple of months and stuff, because they happen so regularly, it's hard for me to it's hard for me to think that, oh yeah, that would be, that's good, let's take some time to think about that, because it's not that it's nothing, but those things take such a smaller amount of effort in comparison to the bigger things, that is it really worth the reflection time? That's how I approach it. That's just how it kind of, that's how it sits with me. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, and I'm not saying that I'm right in not doing it. I just, for where it sits with me, that's kind of where it rests.
I think this is also, and I get what you mean, because it's the big things, but I think it almost goes back to that present moment stuff about sitting with yourself and knowing what you're thinking. And then like I said before, Ryan, if you had like a bad day, like it was a terrible day at the office, reflecting on that bad day, because usually we'll end up going, I'm just going to go and, I don't know, eat a load of crap, or I'm going to wallow for a bit because I just need to get over this bit. And what we could do is we could look at that day and go, yeah, it was a bad day overall, but what were some good things about that? What were the 3 good things? And what could one thing I've gone down? And I think it's a really, really powerful thing. And I've got this tip, and I'm going to tell you where I got it from. I got it from Tools of Titans, Tim Ferriss book, and it's in there. And I wanted like something like you, Ryan. I struggle with like dedicating time to it, and I wanted an easy 1-pager I could do each day, and that's what I dedicate to it, and that's how I use it. And I find now, when I've carved out the time, I think you have to physically carve out your time and say, right, before I go to bed, it's like a routine. Before I go to bed, I need to write that out. I need to put the improvement and the 3 things that I appreciate about it, what went well. And it's like almost like building into a bedtime routine. Usually before I did this, I just go, right, turn the telly off, I'm up to bed. But actually now I've got a routine. I'll write in that book before I go to bed. I'll have a think. It's only like a minute. It's like literally a minute. And then I write. And then I think, you know what? It has been a bad day, but this is what I pulled out, which was great. And it really does help. And it's really helped my mindset when I've really struggled, especially with this big project I've got on, because some days it's been really difficult. And I've told you guys about it, that I really struggled. But that's really helped pull me through and recognise, actually, the thing that I recognised, I actually got through the day, which was a good thing, right? I survived the day. And that for me is where I sort of got the wins for myself, to keep yourself going. So that sort of thing works for me. Over to you,
Lee.
It's a good tip. Again, as you know, and there's different ways to do it. I struggle with that routine of doing it at a certain time, but probably need to do a bit more of that little reflection, because I do think it's right. Like Ryan, like you said, do we do it enough? How does it work? And my immediate thought went to that big looking down the mountain thing, but actually it is a lot more about those little moments. And I think that's, I know we're not at the learnings bit, but that's my bit I'm taking away from today, is to be more reflective day to day. And it won't, because it's not how I work, it won't be writing down some notes before I go to bed or designating at 4 o'clock every day I will do it. But what I want to have is a trigger that when I'm feeling stressed, I can be like, okay, what were the good things? And actually, when I'm feeling good, I can be like, oh, what's made me positive today? But also, even though I feel that, what can I still do to improve? And I want to try and build that mentality, easy for me to say, into my brain. And that's my big takeaway from today with this subject.
Well, big takeaway, better write that down, haven't we? Better write that down. So big takeaway, Lee, is one improvement.
So a quick bit of self-reflection for me is that I've been pretty poor with checking in with the pair of you specifically. Went through a phase of where I would call Lee like 2-3 times a week and just be like, what's going on? But I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like I've been a bit busy or a bit inside my own head and just not really.
There's been a Ryan-shaped hole left in my life right now.
Wondered what descriptive word you were going to use then. But yeah, there's a bit of self-reflection there for you. I've been pretty poor with that, so let's see if I can.
That's the improvement. Okay. About a couple of good things that happened today then.
Lee got to speak with me.
Yes.
Right. There you go.
A couple of good things that happened today. I finished a course that I've been doing for a couple of years.
Okay.
What else is there? I've planned out the rest of my month in my work calendar. I've got nothing else that I need to make sure gets booked in. But those things, I could, if you gave me 15 minutes, I could list you about 20 things, 10, 15, maybe 20 things that I've done or put in motion today or this week that are good things. So as a real life example, like what's the point of me sitting here and reflecting on that? Because that's just a weekly requirement of me to do my job. Whilst it's a positive thing that helps me do my job, it's just part of my job. So I know in the same way you could make the argument, well, doing that course was part of your job, if you like. And yes, yeah, I guess I take that point. But this is rudimentary. Like this is basic stuff that I do to help me do my job, and it isn't. I don't feel like it warrants me having to sit there and reflect on the good element of it. If that makes sense.
I'd just say it doesn't have to work. It could be anything.
No, of course, but just as a real life example.
It could be that you've had a massive argument with someone. Not only work, could be outside, and it's a psychological boost for you to have those three things that went well, and it's a habit that builds resilience. And I know for me, I've suffered anxiety and depression. And this, for me, is something that I can write and go, yeah, this is something I can focus on and continue to build that. And it does build that thing. So I think it's just something to think about, and yeah, and it's the little things that make a big difference. And it's sometimes we may underestimate that, hey, Ryan, you did plan that thing and, you had that good win. And I think that's a psychological boost for you to say, okay, this didn't go very well, but these are three things, because we default to negativity, don't forget, right? We tend to focus on, oh, this is terrible. Your mind will default to everything that's gone bad instead of finding things that are good. It's not to be like fake. It's about, yes, things are, you're looking at factor, yes, things are bad, but what is it in that I can find that's good for me to continue to press on and find the energy to go forward? And the way that's going to hide is going to find the three things that you did. Hey, that was all right. I got through the day. And the one tweak might be, I just need to speak to X a little bit kinder or whatever. And that'll make a little shift. So you're always in action as well. So there's the action and then recognition, which builds a psychological resilience for you to press on. And I've definitely found, doing it, whatever, 939 days or whatever, that I do that, it definitely has made a big difference, because it's the micro times throughout the year, not the big things. But when you look back, there is big things, right? Big things have happened. So
in a couple of months, Joe, are we gearing up for the 1000th daily video celebration?
It's 939, I think, today. So I can't work out
2 months. It's 2 months.
Look at that, exciting times.
Exactly.
That will be good to do.
Pressure's on. The pressure's on.
The 8th of August, I think, will be 10,000. I think so.
I just need I just need to mention quickly, need to shout out because I noticed it and it made me laugh. Nina clocked, I think it was Joe, your washing machine going off in the background during the podcast there. Yeah. Brilliant stuff. That I would say that's normally the theme to my Zoom meetings during the day for work is a washing machine going off to tell me it's done. And everyone's like, what's that beeping? So good spot there. I like it.
I love it too.
Ryan, any more on self-reflection before we wrap things up here?
No, I think I'm there or thereabouts.
What's the takeaway for you, Ryan, from today? What was the takeaway for you?
Sweat the small stuff.
I like it. That's good.
Don't sweat or sweat.
No, sweat the small stuff.
What are we saying by sweating the small stuff?
Well, reflecting on the smaller
Make
things.
sure you think about it.
Okay.
The small stuff is important in this scenario.
Okay. Reflecting on the small stuff. Okay. And what did we get from you, Lee? Was it just?
I don't know. It sounded really good when I said it earlier, though.
Something about.
I'm building that mindset. The three is similar, but the three again. I went into this with it being big reflection, but actually it is the small things. It's 3 good things, 1 improvement thing, and trying to just get that both when I'm feeling good and when I'm feeling bad at the end of the day, that I revert to that as a good kind of psychological coping mechanism, if you like.
So really, if you're feeling not great, 3 good things that happen, 1 improvement when it's not going so well.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
And Jose, what for you?
For me, what is a self-reflection? You've got some good ones there. For me, is to make time to reflect. I think, having a schedule. And I know, like Lee and Ryan, you sort of, should I dedicate time? I think to actually book it in. I mean, I don't book it in now, but if you're going to do it, like for me, the reflection is to make sure it does happen. It only takes a minute, but plan it into your day, get it into some sort of calendar so you are actually going to do it. So for me, my trigger is bed. I'm going to bed. Before I go to bed, I'll write in. So for me, it's going to be scheduling reflection time.
Do you know, the only fixed thing that happens in my life, other than sleep and shower and work, is this. And nothing else is planned in my week. I get up, I go to work, and I just relax and do what I want for the rest of it. So I don't know. I don't know if I can commit to something else in my schedule. I'm pretty chocker in the evenings.
I just heard in that sentence that Ryan's life revolves around Lee. That's what I heard.
And if we'd heard, go on, Ryan, go respond to that.
No, I mean he's not wrong. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Just to share something with our lovely listeners and our lovely viewers on Instagram, before we came on, Lee has got a song about Lee that he played, and we can't play it because it's probably copyrighted, but all we got to do, I don't know, can you find it on YouTube or something? But if you want to hear a song about Lee, where do they find it?
Just put Tenacious D Lee into your nondescript search engine and you will find it.
Tenacious D.
Yes. D for Delta, or
I may not,
dog if you're in preschool.
I may not like Tenacious D, but at least I know they exist. Joe's out here saying, "Who's Tenacious D?"
Tenacious B, was that?
Tetanus B?
Sounds like
right. We descended into ramble, so it's time to wrap it up now. We appreciate everyone, as always, for downloading us, for watching on YouTube. Check us out. Again, Jose Noya, Inspiration Nation. Stick it into your search engine. Follow us on social media at ListenToIN and head over to inspirationnation.org.uk. Most importantly than anything else, if you're enjoying this, if you love the inspiration, leave us a review and tell friends, tell family, get them to listen as well. We would really, really appreciate it. Very quickly, there we go. And also, Angela thought the sound of the washing machine was a microwave, which it wasn't. However, my microwave will be going off soon, and you guys will be glad to know that I may put some bacon in there.
Just end it. Just end it. I can't deal with microwave bacon. Get me out.
3, 2, 1. Inspiration Nation. Catch you guys
later. Microwave bacon. Come on.
So guys, I want you to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video. I want you to put it in the description below and hashtag it with Inspiration Nation, because it's important that you take something away and work on it so you can get to your next level. Now, so you can catch all our other Inspiration Nation podcast episodes right over here, so go check them out. And also, don't forget to subscribe, because that will tell you when your next video goes live by you hitting that amazing bell. So until next time, it's Inspiration Nation, and I'll see you right over there.